trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. In Christ Jesus our Lord, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Okay, so I have these packets, and because I did them, are we recorded? Okay. So everything is going to be recorded. Oh, does the recording have video? So, do you know how to shift the? Okay, so then when we go inside, we can shift the camera to that one. Okay. So it's not on live stream, but it'll be recorded and put on YouTube as if it can. Should we? Okay. Live stream. No, I think so. I don't really know. Zach knows. Okay. So I have this list, and a lot of it I typed up last night, which means a lot of it is probably not going to make sense because I was really tired. So here, in case anyone comes, here, just pass one down, and then if anyone comes, if you can just make sure to start sharing if there's not enough, okay? Pass it. Good. Actually, give me one. Okay, so I have different sections. Maybe it'll be a good idea if we get pens too at some point. Do you want to see if we have pens in the office? Okay. Maybe no pens. How about I make notes if there's something comes up, and then I can send out like an update. Yeah, we'll do that. I have a pen. Okay, so this is to kind of give us a guide through the morning, okay? To help us go through like the different steps. And I tried to be as detailed as possible without creating a novel. And so we'll kind of start in different sections, okay? So the first one is the right, and okay, just to make sure it's clear, when we use the language, when we use the word right, it doesn't mean you're right, like you're correct, okay? Right is like the ritual, okay, or the practice, or so R-I-T-E is the right. So if someone says, okay, the rites of serving inside are A, B, C, D, E, right? So it's the rite or the ritual of A, B, C, D, E, okay? The first section is the rites for entering the church. So when we enter the church, we should be praying, right? Like whenever you like walk in the door and you see your parents, for example, right? Or if the parents are seeing your children, like the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna say hi, right? And it's like you walk in the door, and before you see the person, right? Like let's say someone's in the back and I see them, right? And clearly it's clear that I'm gonna go and say hi to the person. But there's a way of saying hi to the person from far away, right? Giving them like some hint that like I'm coming to say hi, right? Whether it's like, or like, smile, or like, something, right? The nod or whatever it is. So it's kind of the same thing when we enter into the church, right? Like we and Christ, God is everywhere, right? But we come because the altar is what sanctifies the place. Okay, so we come to say hi to God, essentially, right? So when we walk in, does anyone know Coptic Reader? Is anyone familiar with Coptic Reader? Okay, if you don't have Coptic Reader, it's an app. So whoever has a phone that that has apps. You can download it. Some parts are free, and some parts you have to purchase. But I don't actually if the free part, if it includes the prayers, the morning prayers. But there are a couple different psalms, okay? But what we can do to make it a little bit easier is when you walk in the church, as you're walking up, you can say, "We worship you, O Christ, with your good Father and the Holy Spirit, for you have come and saved us." Right? How many times do we say this? A lot. Right? So it's kind of easy to be able to say, to remember to say, so that as soon as we walk in, again, as we're approaching the altar, we're saying, "We worship you, O Christ, with your good Father and the Holy Spirit, for you have come and saved us." Okay? There's also Psalm 5:7, which the priest actually prays this. If you notice, when the priest is offering incense and comes out and is offering incense before the altar, you see him sometimes going like this, right? Kind of like doing a partial prostration or like a bow, because during this time he's saying, "We worship you, O Christ, with your good Father and the Holy Spirit, for you have come and saved us. But as for me, in the abundance of your mercies, I shall bow down and worship before your holy temple. Before the angels, I shall bow down and worship before your holy temple." Okay, so we can also try to do this if we can remember. So, "We worship you, O Christ, with your good Father and the Holy Spirit, for you have come and saved us. But as for me, in the abundance of your mercy, I shall bow down and worship before your holy temple." Okay? But as for me, hold on. But as for me in the abundance of your mercy, say, "But as for me in the abundance of your mercy. But as for me in the abundance of your mercy. But as for me in the abundance of your mercy, I shall bow down and worship before your holy temple." Say, "I shall bow down and worship before your holy temple." Okay? So this comes from the Psalms. Okay? Any questions on that? No? Okay. So the other thing too is that when you enter the church, one of the ways in which we communicate to God is through our bodies as well, like our body language, right? Just like if you're going to say hi to someone, you might wave, right? Or you might like to communicate. You might use hand gestures, right? So when we communicate with God, we're also using bodily gestures. So when I come, then I should do, if possible, I should do a full prostration, and it doesn't have to be down the middle. And you can come and to the side, you can do a prostration, okay? And it's up to you. Like, you can do a full prostration, right? This is a full prostration, or maybe like a half prostration, which you are taking your hand and you are touching the ground and you're kissing your hand. Okay. For if your attire doesn't permit you to do a full prostration, aka women, then it's okay to do like a bow and sign the cross. Okay. Just the initial entrance. Now, before entering, it is good practice to go to bow, to take your hand and touch the step of the sanctuary and enter. And so the thing is there's no step here, which is fine. It doesn't say, okay, it doesn't mean like, okay, you shouldn't bow. But actually what's also permissible is that before you enter even the side altar, so in your initial entrance into the church, you would do either, again, a full prostration or a half prostration, and then before you enter, you would take the curtain by your hand and kiss it and enter. Okay? And the whole, let's look at the, like, why we would kiss the ground or why we would kiss the curtain, because there is such thing as holy ground, holy place. Because what happened with Moses? He took off his shoes, right? He was told to take off his shoes. Why? Because he was standing on holy ground. Why was he standing on holy ground? Why all of a sudden this place was holy ground? The bush, right? Which God revealed himself through the bush. So because God was present there and he revealed himself there, so then that ground became holy ground. If God was not present in that place, if he was not where the bush was, then he wouldn't have a need to remove his shoes, right? So this is holy ground because this is where the Eucharist, the altar in which we are offering to God. Now, the reason why it's not as necessary, like it's good to kiss the curtain here, is because in many of the churches, because of all the persecution in Egypt and because of the difficulty in building new churches, they were kind of forced to add altars to the left and the right. So many churches you might find 3 altars, okay? And so because of that, then that's why people treated the right and the left sides of the sanctuary as the center, because they were also altars in which the priest is praying and offering the holy bread to become the body and blood. But because that's not the case in our church, then that's why it's permissible that you kiss the curtain as a certain way of reverence to this space, considering that this is traditionally known as the preparation side, in which the priest used to actually prepare the mixing of the wine and the water in the chalice, and all the gifts that were brought from the people were actually done in here, on the side sanctuary. So it's still considered a holy place. So then the next one is, okay, so we covered the prayer that when we enter, to come to the side and bow, or if your clothing doesn't permit, you can just do again a bow. You don't have to, like, if you know your special spot is like in the middle, you don't have to come here and then go here. You can go to your space and bow. But definitely for the deacons, because you will be entering and coming to serve, then since you're going to be coming here, then you should prostrate before. Okay, thanks. So, any questions on that so far? Okay. And also, if you have any questions on why we do certain things, ask, and if I don't know the answer, then I'll find the answer, okay? If you come during matins, for the deacons or the ecclesiastical choir, if you come during matins, then it's good that to just wait to dress, because what ends up happening is, let's say Abuna's offering incense, right, and is not available yet to bless your tunic, then you end up staying inside, and there's a lot of participative hymns that are in matins, like the doxologies and the verses of the symbols. So it's good that if you arrive during matins, it's already started, then it'll be good to prostrate and then stand with the chorus and participate in matins, and then Abuna can bless your tunic after that. Now, if you decide that you still want to wait inside, that's okay, but I'm just saying, I think it's preferred so that you can participate, right? Because then if you're waiting, then you kind of lose out on that participation. Okay, So, sanctuary preparation for Vespers. So we need to come to the altar. So the guys can come, and the ladies as well. You can come stand here if you want. You can also stand on the side if you just remove your shoes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the ladies can remove their shoes and come stand on the side, or you can also stand here. You can also stand here. Okay? Cool. Oh. Yeah. And if it's, I don't know which one's inside, it's fine. Okay. Okay, so actually, guys, come on this side. Sorry. Yeah, you want to do shift. Okay. Okay, when it comes to preparing the sanctuary, first it's important to know, like, does everyone know Uncle Nagy? Okay. Uncle Nagy is the coordinator for the sanctuary, all preparation. Okay? So if Uncle Nagy is here and you have a question, ask him. Okay? And also respect that, like, because this is one of his responsibilities. So always respect that he is responsible for ensuring that the sanctuary is prepared, right? That we have enough wine, that we have enough water, that we have enough supplies for our services. Okay. Okay. So the first thing to do is the altar. The altar is always going to have this, right? The throne. Okay. Then the book stand, microphone, and the altar cross. Okay. That is the standard on the altar. Okay. So then, to prepare for Vespers, are we going to be taking communion eventually for Vespers? No, right? So Vespers is in the evening time. Oh, hey, Justin. Come, we're all kind of inside, and Kathy, I don't know if you just walked in, but you can. Okay, so the altar is empty. So what do we, for when we're praying Vespers, what do you think needs to be added to the altar? Yes. Okay, the two. Oh, there's the liturgy book. Yeah, so 2 liturgy books. Okay. And oh, hey, Nagy. This is Uncle Nagy. So again, anytime you have any questions about preparing the sanctuary, you ask Uncle Nagy. And don't ruin anything, because he will hurt you. So okay, so the 2 liturgy books, which actually I didn't note here, so thanks, Isaac. Liturgy book. What else? What does Abuna do also during Vespers? What does he swing around? Huh? The shoria, okay. The shoria, or the censer, okay. So the censer needs to be ready. But what does Abuna put in the shoria? Incense. So we need. Do you see an incense box here? Okay, so we're missing an incense box. We're missing the liturgy books. What else are we missing? What does the deacon use when going around the altar? The cross. Okay, very good. Okay, so where are these things? They're in this cabinet. So someone please open the cabinet. Yes, in the gospel. Okay, so in this cabinet you will find the incense box, and you will find the Bible, and you will find and actually it's not a full Bible, it's the Gospels. Okay, so pull out the incense box there, the gold incense box. Don't drop the incense, or else you're going to vacuum it. And then not the spoon. There's a spoon already inside. Okay, and we need that cloth so that the incense doesn't fall. Okay, and the altar. You see where Uncle Justin got the. Amo Justin, did you see where he pulled out the liturgy books? Okay, so he pulled it out from there. Altar copy. Okay. Yeah, so it tells you when to grab the shorty and all that stuff. Okay, the Gospels and the cross, right? Okay, and it goes here on the side. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Then we have what else? Candles. Candles need to be lit. So can you light up the candles? Use the green one. Do not use the torch. You're not grilling steak. So okay, so Uncle Jacob doesn't know how to use it, so you may not be able to. Okay. The shoria, although it's very tempting that you want to light it up, just prepare it with charcoal. For Vespers, we just need one charcoal. So someone please put a charcoal inside the shoria. So then the question is you have 4 shorias. Which one do you use? Okay. All right. Okay, so you put it inside the shoria, and today is it's annual. Okay, it's not festal, so the silver one. Okay, can you lift up the shoria and show it to everyone, just so they see? Okay, so this shoria for annual. Okay, and then the gold for feasts. Yeah, and we'll also get to that point as well. Okay, so the next one, 13. Raise your hand if you're 13 years old. Okay. Over 13. Okay, then that's about a right age. Well, how old are you? Huh? How old? Y'all are 12. So maybe we can do. I think 12 is like a reasonable age. So okay, next step. If you're 12 years old, listen up. If you're 12 years old and over, then you can do the following, which is you can put batteries, right? We want to make sure that there's batteries in the microphones. So this one unscrews, and there's 2 double batteries in this one, but in the other ones there are 9-volt batteries. Okay. In that room over there, there are the 9-volt batteries. Okay. But again, you have to be 12 years old or over to do this because if you want to do it. The next one is to turn on the switches, to turn on the breaker switches. So if you're 12 years old, why don't you go to Uncle Zach? If you're 12 years old or over, you can go to Uncle Zach, and Uncle Zach, can you show them the breaker switches? Oh yeah. And show them how to turn on the microphone. Okay. Listen up. Next. Just give us a second so that we can show the 12 years old, 12 years and older. Okay. And that usually turns on the TV. Shh. Listen up. I know we have to split this one up because of the age difference, but please give us a moment, okay? The next one for 12. The next one for 12 years and over is to ensure that the TVs are on, so that, again, it's part of the service. We need to make sure that the people can follow the liturgy. So they need to be able to read what's going on. So when those two breaker switches turn on, the TV should turn on. If they do not, there is a remote control underneath the mengeleya that to turn the TVs on. Just regular TV remote. Okay? Did y'all hear that? 12 years old and over? Okay? There's a TV remote here to make sure the TVs are on. Okay? And then the next is just turn on the power for the laptop. Okay? Just press the power button. And that's it. Okay, someone like either Uncle Nagy or Uncle Zach. Nagy makes him come early anyway, so so they'll make sure that the slides are up. Okay. Shh. For Vespers and Matins, as soon as you see Abuna opening the curtain for 12 years old and over, that is your key to light the shoria. The one charcoal for Matins or Vespers, that's your key to you get the honor of using the torch. Okay? Because honestly, it's like the funnest thing ever. So 12 to use the torch? No, these guys, no, they're good. 12 is good. It's okay. Do we have insurance? Just think. Okay. All right, listen up. Shh. Listen up. Okay, the next one is preparing the sanctuary for matins. Now, let me ask you: are we going to eventually take communion when we start matins? Okay, so are we going to take communion if we have matins? Because when is matins prayed? Vespers is when? Vespers is when? Saturday night, so it's in the evening times. Now, let's say we have a Wednesday morning liturgy. That means we can still have a Vespers Tuesday night, okay? So Vespers is at night. Matins is basically Vespers, but prayed when? In the mornings, before liturgy, which means eventually we're going to take communion. Okay? So we need to make sure that we're prepared for matins and liturgy. The preparation for matins and liturgy is the exact same as Vespers. Are y'all listening? Matins and liturgy preparation is the same exact as for Vespers, except for what? No, for preparing the sanctuary. What's the difference? Prepare for communion, which means we also need to have what? The chalice, which means we're gonna put what in it? Wine, water, and what kinds of water? How many different types of water? 2. 1 for one for the chalice, so one for drinking, and one for what? For washing the hands, right? So one that's for drinking and one that's for washing, for cleaning, okay? Now, cleaning, make sure it's clear that at the end of the liturgy, when the priest is washing the vessels, washing like the chalice and stuff, he's using drinking water, okay? Because he's going to drink the water, and so are the deacons, okay? So yes, it's for cleaning, but let's specify that the tap water is for washing the hands, okay? Zach, can you lift up, Uncle Zach, can you lift up the, okay, that's the bowl, right, for washing. Can you lift up the pitcher? This clear pitcher, the plastic pitcher, is used for washing the hands of the priest, okay? Which means that can come from the tap, okay, from the sink. Can you lift up the other pitcher? The glass pitcher is for drinking, for good water. That's the black dispenser here in the hall, okay? Can you also lift for us the cruets? Oh, he's cleaning all of them? Oh, okay. So Uncle Negi will bring it back soon. Okay. The other difference that we will have is that because we're going to be praying liturgy, so the priest needs the veils that are going to be used to set up the altar. Okay? So can someone let's look back in the closet. There are three sets, okay? One down here, and you'll see that the what do they call it? Like the lefayef or the veils that are used is like this cloth, okay? It's like this basically. This we use for weekdays, okay? This we use for Sunday, and you'll notice that instead of like this cloth, it's more of like a satin, like a silky material. Okay, so today, let's say today's Tuesday, so if we're praying liturgy, we're going to grab this set. So Uncle Jacob will take this set, and he'll put it in the center, where the priest will be on the other side. That's not true. Okay? Shh, shh. Listen up. Listen up. Did you hear Uncle Dennis? He said we're still in the altar, so we need to be respectful, okay? So this is the set that we would use because it's a weekday. Okay, so leave it here for the priest. When he comes, he can open it. Okay? Okay, the other thing that has to happen is we have to prepare the altar covering. We're going to get the setting. So the priest, when he opens this set, he will grab this and place it here. Okay? And so don't know how to. Okay, so Uncles Jacob and Zach are gonna show you. It's very important to know. So obviously you're gonna open it so that the side with the crosses are on top. Okay. Now look here. You have Alpha. So in Coptic you have Alpha. What letter does that look like? A. Okay, so in Coptic this is Alpha. And what do you think this one is? W. It's not. It looks like the Walgreens sign, but it's not. Okay, it's O. Okay, it's like an O in Coptic. Okay, so Alpha, Omega. Okay, so make sure that because the priest is going to raise it and put it over the altar, you want to make sure that it's in the correct direction. So make sure that it's facing this way. Okay? Okay, so then how do we make sure that it's neat? Okay. Straighten it out. And then you're gonna do like flaps, okay? Are y'all watching? Perfect. You see how neat that is? Allah, 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 Allah. Okay? So again, the cross is facing this direction so that when the priest brings it, is facing this direction. Okay? Mm-hmm. Yes. So the priest who is choosing the lamb, choosing the bread, is called the celebrant priest. Say celebrant priest. Okay. That means that the other priest serving, if there's another priest, they are not the celebrant priest, which means they are not going to touch the body that day. Only one priest touches the holy body that day, and the holy bread before it changes. Then only one priest touches. Okay, the other one will touch can touch the wine and the precious blood. Okay, so that priest is going to pray the Thanksgiving prayer. Do you know the Thanksgiving prayer when the priest says, "Let us give thanks to the beneficent and merciful," right? Okay. So then you see that the priest then mixes the chalice, mixes the wine and the water in the chalice. Now, when it comes time to cover the altar, if there is another priest, the other priest comes and will offer the covering to the celebrant priest. So the non-celebrant offers it to the celebrant. So let's say there's no second priest, there's just one priest. Then the oldest serving deacon in the sanctuary, the oldest one, is to be the one to offer so the adult deacons would not offer it, would not tell one of the younger deacons to present the covering. It would be the oldest deacon, objectively, right? It is what it is, okay? Now, if there is a bishop present, if there's a bishop and there's a few priests, the bishop always is celebrant because of rank, okay? Now, let's say that we have a visiting priest. Out of like respect, we always offer them to be celebrant that day if we have a guest priest, okay? Let's say you have two priests serving with each other, like me and Abuna Krullos, right? Now, obviously, like he's an older priest, and so I respect him in that he should be celebrant, right? But out of his love, he would love for us to share in being celebrant priests. So that's why Abuna Krullos and we switch off every week, okay? So he'll be celebrant 1 week, I'll be celebrant the next week, and so forth, okay? And whoever celebrant has to give the sermon, so I love when he's celebrant. So again, and let's say there's 5 priests. There's 5 priests. Regardless of who's the celebrant, the eldest priest is to be the one to offer the covering, okay? All right. Do we have the cruets back? Not yet. Okay. We can do it towards the end. Let me see if there's any other. Okay. So we can come back out and discuss the tunic blessing, the rites for tunic blessing, okay? So y'all want to come back out, and then we'll come back in a little bit to then start working on Vespers and Matin services. Okay, tunic blessing. Yeah, share papers if you don't have, if there's not enough, share them, and then I can print more of the updated ones because we're making a few notes, okay? Okay, so tunic blessing. We can discuss the tunic for just a little bit, but let me tell you a little bit about the tunic. Okay, the tunic is so that we are serving in the altar. We are serving in the sanctuary because yes, maybe not every Sunday. Like yes, there's a group of deacons that will be outside, but there are ones that serve inside. But that doesn't mean that we are no longer serving serving as deacons on a regular Sunday. We are still serving, right? Our service doesn't end. For example, if I go to a church and there's a liturgy and there's like 25 bishops and there's 10 priests, right? I'll still dress as a priest, right? Even if I don't pray, even if I end up not praying liturgy at all, any part of the liturgy, I'm still priest. So I serve as priest, right? So the same thing. If you're either a deacon or ecclesiastical choir, it's a service, which means that when you come, you are that. You are deacon. You are ecclesiastical choir. So you should serve as that. Okay. The tunic, because we are serving like angels, because either we're entering the sanctuary or as the ecclesiastical choir we're serving the people in specific ways. So then we are dressed like the angels, okay, in white tunics. You'll notice on the tunic you'll see a big cross on the front, and you'll notice a small cross on the back. And I've heard a lot of different meditations on what that is. The one I personally like the most is that the cross is here in front of me because I remember my weaknesses. I remember my what I need to offer to God. That I have the most weakness of everyone, the most sin of everyone, and I'm offering this as God because this is my cross is the largest. And the back is because Lord, everyone else is stronger than I, is better than I, right? So it's a meditation in a sense. Okay, so tunic. If you're a chanter, again, you should serve unless you do not have absolution to serve. Okay. The main times for tunic blessings. The first one is before matins, as we discussed. Again, if you come during matins, yes, you can still have your tunic blessed, but it's preferred that you do the prostration before, and you stand in the chorus to participate in the doxologies and in the verses of the symbols, and then have your tunic blessed after matins. Also after the Agbeya, here Abuna Carlos and I, we will bless tunics throughout the Agbeya because there's two of us, okay? But if there's not two, sometimes it's hard for one of the priests, if he's chanting any of the responses during the Agbeya, it's hard. So that's why I'm saying normally after the Agbeya is another main time in which you would have your tunic blessed. But when there's two priests, usually it's pretty easy. Also before the absolution. So the absolution should be kind of our cutoff time, right? Not because it's like the church had to figure out, okay, when do we just stop, right? But it's more about, okay, the priest is giving an absolution to the ministers, to anyone serving, right? Because he says, may your servants, ministers of this day, the priests, the deacons, the clergy, my weak self be absolved, and all your people, be absolved from the mouth of the Holy Trinity. Okay, so it's an absolution for all servants, anyone serving. So that's why this is usually the cutoff for when you can participate as an ecclesiastical choir or as a deacon. Okay, there's exceptions, of course. So but I think it's good for us to keep in mind so that when we target, when we're going to come to when we come to church, we always make it a goal to make it in time. When you come and get your tunic blessed, it's best to just come on one side, on this side. If you know that there's another priest, like if there's two priests and you know the other one is standing on this side, it's okay to come in on this side to get the tunic blessed. But by default, like just the default, usually just on this side, if there's one priest, or if you know that there's a time in the part of liturgy in which you came that the priests are kind of moving around, and plus this is where like the extra tunics are, where people are storing their tunics and there's extra tunics, so it's just kind of easier. And it's always good that we try to practice that we don't enter the sanctuary unless we have our vestments. Okay. So if you come, like a lot of times you'll see the priest, signaling to the person like, come and have your tunic blessed. Of course, that's okay to go and receive the blessing. Sometimes the priest will come to you to bless the tunic. So just kind of look for that signal. It's at least a nice gesture to wait for the priest to call you to come in the sanctuary even when you're not wearing a certain vestment. There are different ranks in the like, there are different orders. The first order is absoltus or chanter. Then there is ognostos or a reader, and then there is like a subdeacon, and then deacon, archdeacon, and so forth. Okay, so usually the red stole that is worn is usually for the readers and above. Okay, now we don't necessarily have like that restriction in which, okay, if you're a chanter, then you cannot wear the red stole, but I want to make sure that you at least know, so that you're just aware of it. And I've heard that we might be trying to bring back that differentiation of like, okay, if you're a chanter, then you would not wear the stole. If you are a reader, then you would wear the stole, and so forth. The deacon should present their tunic neatly, either folded or neatly unfolded over the arm. Okay? So don't bring your tunic like this. I've seen this. Or like this. Or just like, it's the tunic which is supposed to be like the angels, right? And so if you are not leaving your tunic here, assuming that you are taking it home, then you would fold it. How do you fold a tunic? You're looking at the front. You're going to fold it in half. Make sure that the creases are together. Okay? Are we together? I've seen some of y'all fold them. So, so then you're going to take the arm and you're going to because it's wide, okay, you fold it in a little bit. Are you with me? Okay, and then do 3 of them. 1, blessing, okay? And the same goes with the ecclesiastical choir. Like have your vestment folded neatly, and present it to the priest like this, okay?
Why does it say
Oh, the golden censer is not like a literal censer, but it's about St. Mary's. We call it the golden censer. Okay? So present it neatly like this, and if you have a red stole, make sure it's neat. Okay? Let's say your tunic was hanging, so then the way you would present it is like this, fold, and just wrap over your arm. Okay? And then you would present it like this. Any questions? Yes. Do you have to be an you mean like for a priest? A priest has to be ordained as either a deacon or an archdeacon before ordination to a priest. Because the consecrated deacon, so a consecrated deacon is like, I don't know if you remember during the Christmas performance, there was someone here that was helping Abuna Carlos give communion. He is an archdeacon, okay? So he cannot pray the liturgy, but he can distribute the blood, okay? So a priest has to be at that rank before priesthood, and usually it's like 2 days before the priesthood they get ordained as a deacon, because the deacon rank is the official start of the priestly rank. So a deacon, like a consecrated deacon, is part of the priestly rank, okay? But they cannot pray liturgy, but they can distribute. No. Just in order to be a priest, you have to be ordained a deacon. We have a lot of we call them archies, yeah, the archies. Okay, they are like all over I don't know how many we have, maybe 8 or something, and they're kind of all over. Okay, yes. Why aren't what? Oh, the question is why are you not allowed to put your hands in your tunic in your pocket? So it's more of a meditation. So like, for example, sometimes when people come take communion, like they have their hand in their pocket, okay? And sometimes depending on what church you go to, you might get your hand slapped, like to take your hand out of your pocket, okay? But I'll tell you why there's that tradition, is that it's like is Judas in this? So Judas, right? He betrayed Christ, and it's like a symbol of like putting your hand in your pocket, which is like where the money is, right? So it's like when you come to partake of the Eucharist, to be with Christ, you're not putting your hand in your pocket because that's where you store money, right? It's a meditation. It's not like there have been people who come and take communion and they have their hand in their pocket, and I don't tell them, and I know Abuna Carlos doesn't either, like tell them, oh, before you take communion you must take your hand out of your pocket. So it's a meditation. It's a nice thing to think about when you're taking communion, but you're not going to get your hand slapped. So yes. What do you mean? Oh, like why he's wearing red and the others not? I think this is more for iconography. Like, I think it reminds us of like the blood that he shed for our sake. Is there any other reason, Mark, for the red?
Yes. So divinity, yeah. Uh, when it comes to icons, Mark loves icons, so I'm sure he knows. Yes. Yes, this is the Pentecost. This is where they receive the Holy Spirit in tongues of fire. Okay. When the priest blesses the tunic, you will hear him say, "In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, one God." Amen. Right? Blessed be God the Father, the Pantocrator. Amen. Okay? And then you would respond saying, Amen. Blessed be His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Blessed be the Holy Spirit, the Paraclete. Amen. Okay. So then you will most likely say Our Father with the priest unless he needs to walk away for something. Okay? For example, before the absolution of the ministers, remember the priest goes around, right? So sometimes the priest is kind of in a hurry because he's getting given absolution, and the hymn that's being chanted, there's usually kind of like that point in which there's really not much more to chant, right? So the priest might come and bless your tunic and kind of walk away, but he might give you a certain gesture. He might do 3 crosses and go like this. Okay, this means like itfadl, like go ahead, or you're absolved, right? So again, if you see this gesture, it's like go ahead, right? And in that moment, it's also kind of like doing like a very quick version of like I have sinned, forgive me, right? Because the priest will kind of do like a half bow and say I have sinned, forgive me. That's like a quick version. So you would also do a half prostration, and you would kiss the ground, or you would put your hand on the ground and go like this, like I have sinned, forgive me, and then you then can go ahead and begin dressing. If he's kind of like, let's say it's like one of those Speedy Gonzalez versions, right? Then you wouldn't kiss his hand, because he'd be like, if he gives you the gesture of like tfadal, like go ahead, like he's gonna walk away. If like let's say it's in one of the appropriate times where the priest has the time, then you would present the tunic, and then the priest would usually go through the full process, right? Of okay, glory and honor, glory to the all Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. O Lord, make us worthy to pray. Thankfully, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Right? And then you have and then the priest will say, I have sinned, forgive me, and then he will do a half prostration many times. Okay? And if he doesn't, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like it's like if I want to do that for a Buna Carlos and for or a bishop or whatever, and he doesn't prostrate, it doesn't matter. Like out of my humility, I am asking for forgiveness. So I am doing a half prostration, and then you would kiss the cross in the hand of the priest. Okay? Yes. This altar, because facing the east is like we're waiting for Christ to come. Okay, in the second coming, but sometimes there's like restrictions. Like let's say we're like, for example, in this building, right? The church, in order to be efficient in having a hall and Sunday school rooms, it's very difficult to put the church so that the altar is facing the east. So the bishop will give permission many times to say, okay, it's okay, you have permission not to face the east. But when we're in the church, we still call this the east. Okay? And then we'll say like the actual east, will say like the true east, or true north or whatever. I don't know which direction we're facing. Mark, do you know what direction are we facing? No, I think we're facing south or something. West. Oh, okay. This is the direction of Satan. So that's great. Okay, perfect. So we're facing west, but like again, it's one of those. It's tradition, and it's part of like taking scripture and applying it. But there's always some practical absolutions that the bishop can give us. Okay. Yes. They're usually used. It doesn't matter when they're used, because they're just used. They're tools, right? The purpose of it is for the people to hear what's happening, right, and for no other reason. Yes. Why does he? That's part of the Catholic Church tradition. Yeah, and some of it is cool, and some of it's not. Like we wear the Amma, and it's not very cool. So, yes. Why is he wearing gold? Because he's a patriarch. So it's a way of like showing his authority. And plus, I think he actually wore a vestment that looked exactly like that, if I remember correctly, and it was gold. Okay. So you put on, after the tunic is blessed. Again, if there is that time in which the priest does the full blessing, you would do a half prostration, and you would say, "I have sinned, forgive me," and then you would kiss the cross and the hand of the priest. Many times the priest may or may not give his hand for you to kiss. It's simply like out of humility that the priest doesn't want you to kiss his hand, but we should strive. Like I try to kiss Abuna Carlos's hand. If he lets me, great. If he doesn't, it's okay. Like, you don't have to freak out. Okay. So yes. Why do you always ask hard questions? Like deep questions. Okay. The initial part was because we teach like to love your enemy, so loving our enemies doesn't mean to like to tough up عليهم, like it means like I can have like, okay, if Satan is enemy, but the love means that I desire that he be saved. I desire that he be saved. I desire that he love God. That is what it means to love your enemy. And so, but because Satan has already like made it clear that he has decided that he does not want to be with God, then that's his will. And so it doesn't mean that just because we love our enemies, that doesn't mean that we are not understanding of the fact that we are still fighting against the power of the devil, right? Can he become good? Your questions. So he cannot, because his will is that he be against God. So his will, sometimes we have, like, let's say enemies in school, right? Not enemies, that like we have people in school who are mean to us, right? And we try to be nice to them so that they are nice, good people, right? But if they just willingly choose that they don't want to be a nice, good person, then that's their will. But that doesn't mean that we don't still, know that, okay, but like I can't necessarily hang out with someone who's constantly, being mean to me. Like, it doesn't mean you have to be their friend in which you're hanging out with them all the time. Okay? Yes. I'm gonna get fired. So there's a saint who prayed for the devil before, and there's a saint who asked God, if the devil decides that he wants to return to you, will you accept him? Right? So the answer was like, yes, of course. So then this saint said to ask the devil, why not just turn back? Like, look, God will accept you. So go ahead. So then there's a dog that appeared in the window of this saint, of this monk, and he stuck his tongue out at him, and then he ran away. And this was a sign. This was like the proof to this saint that the devil has no desire, has no will to want to be one with God. He has no desire. So praying for the devil in order to return to God has been proven through the lives of different saints that it's not effective. That Satan will not repent. Okay? Yes. No, there's the devil, and he has his fallen angels. He has his the demons with him. They were angels. Mm-hmm. Yes. They're holding like scrolls, because these are like, if they're gospel writers, or like if they wrote anything like Saint Peter, right? He wrote epistles. Okay. So, and usually it means that they're the gospel, that they're the evangelists, because the gospels are to evangelize Christ, and so it's like they are evangelists. Okay. Mark, do you know the answer to that? Why Peter has 2 scrolls versus St. Andrew has 1? Right. Oh, yeah. But Andrew, I mean, we don't have an epistle. Maybe he wanted to. Maybe he didn't have time. Yeah. Yes, Noah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's, huh? Oh, I don't think there's like a. The question was, why are the disciples wearing different colors? Okay. All right. So let's move on. Okay. And if you and let me like, I didn't even have my coffee, so I can't fully think anyway. So that's why I have a paper. Okay. So. Begin putting on the tunic, close the shoulder zippers. Okay, close the shoulder zippers. Please don't have the zipper open. It looks messy. Okay, thanks. So then you exit the side area after you put on the tunic. Make a full prostration before the sanctuary. After you put on the tunic, so now you're wearing the tunic, and you'll exit, and you exit like this, so you're not giving your back. Like this. It's a nice tradition, exit with your right foot in, but it's not like that. It's just something. The other thing, by the way, I forgot to mention this. So when Jacob met with Esau, he was scared to see him, right? Remember that? Let me finish first. When Jacob saw Esau later on, he was scared that Esau was so mad at him that he was going to kill him. Okay? So then what did Jacob do when he was approaching Esau? He was doing prostrate. He was going like this. Every time he would get closer, he would do prostration. Every time he would get closer, he would do prostration. Okay? So that's another reason why we do prostration, like the half prostrations, because it's like I'm approaching you as the altar, or I'm approaching the priest or someone else. I'm approaching you with humility. Okay? So I just want to make sure that you think about that. Yes. Hold on, is it related to this? Okay.
Yeah, because
this is holy ground. So he would, like when Moses was in front of the burning bush, and it became holy ground because God was present there. So because we have the altar in which God is present, so that's why he would kiss the ground. It's like kissing the ground and enter.
yes, that's right. But you have to don't forget that in the moment in which the gospel is chanted, the bread and the wine has not yet been changed into body and blood. Okay, so the gospel is the word, right? Is also Christ. So the liturgy of the word, the highest point of the liturgy of the word is the gospel. So everyone's attention, everyone's focus is on the gospel, and that's why after the gospel is read, then the gospel book is closed, because now the Eucharist becomes Christ. Let's leave the questions to the end, okay? All right. So you exit and make a full prostration before the sanctuary. Listen up, y'all, because we don't have that much time left, okay? So you would do a full prostration after you wear your tunic. You will do a full prostration in front of the sanctuary. Why? Because when the 72 disciples left to go, when they were commissioned to preach, they left with the blessing from Christ, and when they returned to receive blessing from Christ. Okay? So when we begin the service, we prostrate before the sanctuary. Okay? And that's why if a deacon reads, the deacon, if there's time, should receive blessing from the sanctuary by doing full prostration. If there's not enough time, like don't let there be silence, okay? But if there's not enough time, you can just do like sign of the cross, a bow, and then you read. When you're done reading, you would do a full prostration, and then you will receive the blessing from the priest. Okay? Next page. We're on the second page. Lord have mercy. We don't have enough time. Okay, let's back inside. Okay, listen up. All right, so Vespers evening is the evening incense offering, and Matins is in the morning. The difference between the two services is the difference in prayers. Okay. After the Thanksgiving prayer, and Abuna offers some incense, then he comes out and he prays something else. Evening, he says the litany of the departed, right? Because the evening time, the night time is the time of departure. Okay, we think about those who have departed. So the priest prays the litany of the departed Saturday nights and all evenings. Sunday morning, the priest prays the litany of the sick, because those who are not able to attend liturgy, they're being prayed for that morning. During the weekdays, the priest prays the litany of the sick for those who are not able to attend, and prays for the travelers, because if they are going like traveling within the community. Now you might ask, okay, well, why doesn't the priest pray the litany of the traveler on Sunday if people are traveling to church? The priest can, but it hasn't been in the tradition because they used to like kind of just walk to the place of worship, right? It wasn't like now where it's, people are driving cars and stuff. So it's still applicable if we decide to pray the litany of the travelers. Save the questions, because I want to answer them, but I also want to try to get through everything, okay? All liturgies for a particular day begins the night before at what time? Vespers, which would be at like what time? 6 p.m., okay? There should be one serving deacon during Vespers and Matins. It's okay if there is more than one, if it's like one of the older deacons who are maybe helping one of the younger deacons learn how to serve the sanctuary more, to become more familiar with it. So that's acceptable, okay? If there's an adult and maybe one of the younger deacons, okay? The deacon during Vespers and Matins should not be inside the sanctuary except for 2 reasons. If they're going to do something to serve, like for the priest, and number 2 is if it's after the choosing of the lamb. So after the choosing of the lamb, then the deacon can come into the sanctuary. But before, like during Matins and Vespers, they should not be in the sanctuary unless they're going to be doing something and then coming out. Why? Because the priest is praying everything outside, right? So the priest is the whole purpose for Matins is like a preparation in order to be able to approach the holy altar. Okay, so keep that in mind. After the Thanksgiving prayer, offer the censer to the priest and put 5 spoons. Uncle Jacob, can you bring the shoria? Okay, and bring that little yeah. Okay, again, 12 years old. You have to be at least 12 years old in order to do this, so that you don't light the church on fire. Okay. Notice, come and see how Uncle Jacob is holding the shoria. Okay, he has the little lefefa in his right hand, and he's holding the base of the shoria because it'll be hot. Okay. Yes, it should be flipped. 5 spoons, because the priest says, "Blessed be God the Father, the Pantocrator. Blessed be His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. Blessed be the Holy Spirit. Glory and honor and glory." Okay, so it's 5 spoons after the Thanksgiving prayer. After that, it's 1 spoon. Okay, anytime after that, it's 1 spoon only. I'm not going to put, because we didn't light it, and because we don't really need it. Okay, so you would offer it this way, and notice how he's holding the top. Okay, he pulled the center one up a little bit. Okay, and then he's holding the main holding ring. Okay. Okay, so then the priest put the 5 spoons, and then I'll take it from the deacon like this. Okay. And then someone hold the cross. So where's the cross? Okay, where would you stand? Okay. So then there's going to be inaudible prayers that are being chanted, that are being said. Okay? As the priest, I'm saying, "Remember, O Lord, the peace of your one only holy Catholic and Apostolic Church." So then inaudibly you should say, I just prayed for the peace of the church. So you would say, but if the priest is saying a litany or a prayer, you're also trying to communicate that. Now, one day, most likely, these prayers used to be said audibly, but now they're not. So now the priest is praying, and so now the deacon should be praying too. So when I say, "Remember, O Lord, the peace of your one only holy Catholic and Apostolic Church," the deacon should say, "Remember, O Lord, the peace of your one only holy Catholic and Apostolic Church." Yes, you're saying, basically you're going to say what I say. Okay? Inaudibly. Okay? Huh? At the same time, but he's saying it to him kind of like silently, to himself, quietly. Okay? So then, okay, can you leave some space? Can you give us some space? Okay. So then, after, I'm saying that, and then Augie is going to go to the other side, okay? And then I'm going to say, "Remember, O Lord, our Patriarch Pope Abba Tewodros II and his partner in the Apostolic Liturgy, our Father, the Metropolitan Ava Serapion," okay? And so then what are you going to say? Oh, okay. You're going to say, "Remember, O Lord." Here, I'll give you an easy version. remember, O Lord, Pope Tawadros II and his partner in the liturgy, Ava Serapion. Serapion. Okay? Amba Serapion is my boss. Okay? All right, so then I will come back and I will say, remember, O Lord, our assemblies, bless them. Very good. No, that's it. So once you say those three, then you have nothing else to say. So then you're going to keep going. And how many times are you going to go around? It depends on how you look at it. If you 6 stations, right? But 3, it's 2.5, right? Like, is it 2.5? Okay. Yes. Okay. So at the end, so then like let's pretend that this is the last one. Okay. So you go back around, and then you would exactly he would go closer to the edge, and then at the end the priest will come, kiss the altar, and then he'll do a full prostration, and then enter, and then put the cross back. Easy? Okay. Can you please take this, put this back? Make sure to stand on this side in preparation. If you're one of the serving deacons, be inside in preparation for taking the censer from the priest. Okay? During Vespers, if the priest is praying one of the litanies outside, the litany of which one? Which litany? If it's Vespers, nighttime, which prayer? The litany of the, think about it, nighttime, it's dark. Who said it? Litany of what? Huh? What'd you say? Departure, the litany of the departed, right? So then once you hear the priest say, if even any negligence or heedlessness, what are the words? If any negligence or heedlessness. Once you hear those words, you immediately come, you grab the incense box like this from the back flap, from the back door of it, and you come and you just bring it to the priest. And wait until he puts a spoon of incense in there. Again, that's only during Vespers. Okay? Next, the serving deacon should go to participate in the doxologies after this, right? So after you're done with that part, you would go and participate in the doxologies. It's best not for you to stay inside. Okay, during the creed, once you hear in Vespers or in Matins, we believe in one God, God the Father, the Pantocrator. Good. Now you would come and you would grab this, and you would come and light it up 3 times, the 3 candles. Make sure there's an adult with you, 12 years or older, okay? And then you would just present it to the priest. The priest is going to come and grab it from you, okay? So you can just stand here and wait for the priest to come and take it from you, okay? Huh? You can hold it however you want, but it's easier to just do it this way so that the priest can grab it from the bottom, okay? Yes, so then after that, the priest is praying the litany of the gospel. So then he needs to put a spoon of incense. So here's what you're going to do. Bring the shoria. How about Uncle Zach, you want to bring the shoria? Like for after if notinainan, if after the 3 candles, so he would bring the shoria, and he would look how he lifted it, and he would bring the incense box. The priest would be out here holding the 3 candles. Even if the priest is not ready yet, just hold it until the priest is ready, because he might sign the people with the 3 candles to say either shlil or let us pray. Okay. So then the priest is going to put a spoon of incense and grab the shoria from, listen up. He would grab the shoria, which means he has a free hand. So then he's going to take the 3 candles, Okay? And then go put the 3 candles back and the incense box back. Okay? They're both incense. They're just different kinds. Then immediately, what are you going to do? Since it's the litany of the gospel, the priest is out here praying. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? The 2 candles, yes, but you're the one who just presented the incense, so what are you going to do? Very good. The gospel and the cross. He's going to take it, and he's going to come outside, and he's going to when he exits the sanctuary, when you exit the sanctuary, you're going to give your back. Yes, very good. You're going to exit, and then you're going to stand behind the priest, and then through the prayers of your saints. No, that was after Shliv. What's after I say through the prayers of your saints? Pray concerning which one? Very good. Pray concerning the holy gospel. Lord have mercy. Okay? After that, the priest will then finish saying, salvation of us all, the hope of us all, the healing of us all, and the resurrection of us all. When you hear, and the resurrection of us all, you come quickly, enter, and you're gonna just turn this way, turn backwards, very good, and you're just gonna wait for me, okay? Because then the priest is gonna put his foot of incense. Then what happens is the priest has a prayer that he says, and he holds the gospel. Keep holding the gospel with me, and we go around the altar together, holding the gospel. He is now holding the cross in his right hand, and then now at this point, at this part of the altar, he can release the gospel to me, and he'll go stand in the corner, okay? And then after the psalm is being chanted, then the deacon will say, stand in the fear of God, and let us hear the holy gospel. Let us listen to the holy gospel. Sorry, there's different translations. Yarhamuni. So then the priest then will come, and he'll chant the gospel. And after you're done telling the people, listen to the holy gospel, then you can put the cross back. Okay? He did. He kissed it. He kissed it, and he put it down. Okay? Okay, if it's matins or vespers, again, when you're outside, if you're the serving deacon, then the serving deacon should take the gospel. Like, let's say a lot of times the priest will let someone chant the gospel while he's doing inaudible prayers, okay? After that, the one reading the gospel should give the gospels to the serving deacon, okay? And then he should take the gospel, right? So we just chanted the gospel reading, okay? So if you're the serving deacon, then you would take it. If there's the 2 priests, then one of the second priest is going to hold the gospel, okay? So, but if there's 1 priest, you would take it, and you would come stand out here, and you would do a prostration, okay? You would go like this, and lift the gospel above your head, like this, okay? Because we don't want to put the gospel on the floor, so we put it above your head, okay? And then you would hand it to the priest. So then you have it over your head, you stand up, the priest takes it from you, and the priest will kiss it, and then you come and you kiss the cross and the gospel and the hand of the priest. Okay? And then you can try. Okay, that's all for Vespers and Matins. Any questions? Yes. This? We don't. Because we have the actual Gospels in the. if there's no questions, then let's go back outside. Quickly, because we're kind of cutting it close on time. No. Hey, Michael. Okay. Now we're on the rites for Egbeya. Okay? Listen up. The priest will introduce the hours. And just so you have an idea of which hours we read, okay? Sunday mornings, Saturday mornings, those liturgies is for the 3rd and the 6th hours. Weekdays is a time of like fasting, reflection. Weekdays we have the 3rd, the 6th, and the 9th hours. Unless it's a feast in the middle of the week, then it's the 3rd and the 6th hours. Okay? And also during the weekdays of the Great Fast, we actually do the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and the 12th hours. Okay. The gospel reader should be at the front, ready to chant the gospel with a mic even before the priest introduces the gospel. Practice the gospel at home, please. The 3rd and the 6th and the 9th hour gospels, if anything, for sure the 3rd and the 6th hours. Those gospels, read them at home and practice them, so that you're not standing and and saying, and seeing the multitudes or the multitudes. So practice it so that you're pronouncing the words correctly. Okay. So whoever is distributing the readings that day, listen up. Whoever is distributing the responsibilities that day, so if let's say it's Uncle Nagy or Uncle Mark or any of the adults, if they tell you, okay, please Maddie, you're gonna can you please do the third hour gospel, okay, and then you'll say okay, okay, Uncle, right, and then the lead, one of the adults will hand you the microphone. Be ready in advance. Be ready standing here, even like when you know that the priest is about to do the introduction to the gospel, okay? So that you're standing here and the priest says, holy, 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 the gospel according to our teacher Saint Matthew, may his blessings be with us all, amen. Right? And then you are saying, and seeing the multitudes, he went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his disciples came to him. When you're done, do not say glory be to God forever, amen. The priest will end it, okay? The priest will say, glory be to God forever, amen. We worship you, O Christ, with your good Father and the Holy Spirit, for you have come and saved us, okay? So when you read the gospel, do you say glory be to God forever, amen at the end? No, okay. So you read the gospel. When you're done reading the gospel, the priest is saying, we worship you, O Christ, with your good Father. In the meantime, you're going to do a full prostration. A full prostration like this. You're going to stand up. And then the priest, either Abuna Carlos or myself, we will be standing here during the time of the Egbeya. And then the priest will extend his hand for you to kiss the cross. Okay? So you kiss the cross, and then you go back to where you were standing. Okay. Same thing with the deacon who will be chanting the last 3 litanies. Be prepared. Be ready to chant it. Okay, because we're serving the people, and we don't want the people to be like waiting for us, like, because we're not prepared. We're not ready. Okay. Next. When the Egbeya prayers are done and the priest is ready to choose the bread, then you would start to say, we exalt you, the mother of the true light, we glorify you, O Saint Theotokos, and then you would say which prayer, or what would you say after that? Right after we exalt you. What do we say right before Abuna chooses the bread? The creed. Very good. Okay? if the priest is ready to choose the bread, like he's ready, then you would do that. But let's say sometimes we have a bishop who's coming, and the bishop is not here yet. So then we would wait. So you wouldn't say it yet. You would wait until we find out, okay, the bishop is here and he's about to come in, and he's already vested, and he's ready. So we can then at that point start. Okay. Okay, next one, offertory. There should be a schedule. There should be a schedule for who's serving inside. Please arrive early. Before the Agbeya, please arrive. The Agbeya starts at 8:30. So if you come after that, then that means Uncle Negi has to find a replacement, which means Uncle Negi is not going to be happy with you. And you don't want Uncle Negi to be upset with you, okay? Okay. So, the eldest serving deacon should be the one to hold the cruet of wine. The eldest deacon holds the cruet of wine, okay? Any other deacon, you guys can then amongst themselves can determine who will hold the water, but it should be the next eldest person. The one holding the cruet of wine should always say 3 things. When the priest says glory and honor and glory, and goes around the altar, and then they say, pray for these holy and precious gifts, our sacrifices, and those who bring them, it should be the one holding the cruet of wine. Whenever the deacon, at the end, right before the commemoration of the saints, right, the deacon says, pray for these holy and precious gifts, our sacrifices, and those who bring them. Also the one who held the cruet of wine. And also the one who says at the very end, amen, 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 I believe, right? Also should be the one that was holding the cruet of wine. So if let's say the eldest deacon doesn't know this practice, so then but you now know. So what you can do is don't tell them, by the way, you know that you're supposed to be, that's the rule, right? But what you can do is you can insist that no, please, I would love the eldest deacon to say it, please. I don't deserve to say it. Does that make sense? Now we know how to approach things like if maybe we know something because we were instructed, right? We're learning it here, but that doesn't mean that we go around and we say, by the way, like I know that we're supposed to be doing it this way. It's okay. You insist to them, please can you? And if the adult just absolutely insists that you say one of those responses, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. But I'll probably kick you. I'm kidding. Okay. If there are 3 clergy, if the celebrant priest is here, the non-celebrant priest is here. Listen up, because this is important. If the celebrant priest is here, the non-celebrant priest here. If there's a 3rd priest, the 3rd priest will hold the cruet of wine. If there's 4 priests, then one will be on each side. As soon as that priest is done, you should come immediately take it from him. Take from him the cruet of wine. If it's priest, if there's a bishop present, then let the priest tell you whether you should take it or not. If it's all bishops, then they'll all hold it. But then one of the deacons should come and take it from the bishop after the offertory, after the bishop has chosen the holy bread. Then you would take it from the bishop. Okay. The cruets should not enter the sanctuary until after the holy bread has been chosen. Okay, listen, because I see it many times where you grab the cruet and then you walk here to come and present it. But if you notice that the bread is never brought through the sanctuary, right? Because we're looking for one. We're choosing the perfect lamb. And we still have to evaluate whether the wine that is being presented is good wine. That's why the deacons are asked to smell the wine. Okay? So you don't want to bring a wine, you don't want to bring a cruet of wine that is not good, and it's already been put, it's been entered into the sanctuary. So you would come out from here, you would hold the cruet of wine, and you would have a candle in your left hand. Candle left hand, the cruet in your right hand. You come from outside, and you'd come in, you would stand here. If you are holding the cruet of wine, cross your hands. Okay? Cross your hands so that now the cruet is here, closest to the priest, and the candle is here. If you're holding the water, do not cross your hands. Do not, I repeat, do not cross your hands. Why? Thank you. You're going to burn my tunya, and that was a nice tunya. Like my tunyas are from Amir Tadros convent in Egypt. It was expensive. Do not burn it, because if you, okay, so because what happens is the priest is holding the cruet of wine and is asking, like putting it in front of y'all's noses, and then you say good and precious, right? Good and precious, not it smells good, or ooh, sweet, So it's good and precious. Good and precious, and then the priest will do this. Now look, when I'm presenting it to this deacon, he has the wine, or his hand closest here, the candle is here, so it's okay. Now when I come on this side, if the deacon has the candle facing here because he crossed his hands, then you might burn my tunya, and it just becomes very awkward, like we're fighting like fire, and it's just weird. It's just not a yeah, pour the water on it. Yeah, that's right. Yes. If it doesn't smell good, then you would say like, tell the priest like this doesn't smell good. Okay. Yes. We'll try to put it out. Yeah. For sure. Okay. Okay, so then, after the priest chooses the holy bread, the deacon holding the wine should enter the sanctuary and stand at the northwest corner of the altar. Okay, so the one holding the wine is going to go directly to this side of the sanctuary, the altar, right here. Okay, just come and just stand here, and uncross your hands. You no longer have to cross them. The one holding the water is going to go like this. He's standing here. Hands are not crossed. He enters the sanctuary with his, if you remember, with your right foot, and you come here, and you just wait here, because then the priest is going to ask you to put water in his hands. Do not dump it, okay? Just pour until the priest kind of like nudges the cruet back up, so that he's like, okay, stop pouring. So, and then after you're done, then you would bring the cruet. You would walk this way, and you would come stand to the left side of the one holding the wine. Okay? Then the priest is going to bless the holy bread, and he's going to bless the wine and the water. Sometimes we see like if the deacon is holding the cruet and he's like standing back, right? The cruet should be less than 1 inch from the holy bread. Okay? Not that the blessing is like, okay, unless it's less than 1 inch, it's not blessed. It's not like that. But it's that we're presenting them as one, right? An offering that is they're together, okay? Because we say that this body belongs to this blood, and this blood belongs to this body, okay? Then the priest is going to say glory and honor and go around the altar, and you would just follow the priest. Okay? You follow the priest, and we're going around because we're remembering that the body and blood of the blood that Christ shed was for the life of the world. Okay? The priest will begin grabbing the wine. Listen up, guys. The priest will begin taking the cruet and giving you cruet, okay? So let the priest do his thing, and then you, after he gives it back to you, then you would place it back on the wooden table over here. Does that make sense? Okay. After that is the Thanksgiving prayer, and we already talked about the Thanksgiving prayer and what to do in offering the censer to the priest. Okay. The rites for the liturgy of the faithful. There's probably like 20 minutes left, and I can tell that y'all are like kind of burned out a little bit. So why don't we should we take like a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back. Okay?
طيب. Everyone, please come to the church. We're about to start. Come to the
Okay, welcome back. Zach, are we good? Are we on? Okay. Oh, so we've been on. Okay, perfect. That'll be good. So that means we'll have about 25 minutes of nothingness when it's people are looking at. Okay. Okay, welcome back. Continuing on. On the third page at the bottom, you'll see the rites for the Liturgy of the Faithful. Okay? When a response is chanted, use a microphone, because, again, if someone says, like, you know, the people in the back might still be sitting, right? Because it says end of prayer, and they're like, wait, why is everyone standing up? Like, they don't, so they should be standing up. So be very, like, it's just a matter of fact. The microphone is a tool to help communicate to the congregation. Okay? So, before I say a response, I have two options. If for some odd reason I don't have access to a microphone, then be very loud. Stand up for prayer. Okay? If you have a microphone, do not go that loud. Stand up for prayer. Okay? So use a microphone in order to communicate to the congregation. Yes. Why? Because in David the psalmist, he, like, all of the psalms were written almost like as songs, as chants, and he says, "I offer to you the sacrifice of praise," right? And praising is usually chanted. Right? It's sung. And what's nice about it is that it requires you to use, like, energy, right? And it requires you to offer something beyond the speaking voice that you offer to anyone else, right? We're offering to God a sacrifice of praise. Okay, so after the gospel response, Liturgy of the Faithful. I don't know why I put this under the Liturgy of the Faithful, because this is actually still part of we actually talked about this in the wisdom of, sorry. This is, sorry. Okay, after the gospel response, like when the congregation says, blessed are you indeed, the saints of this day, you know? Intercede on our behalf, O Theotokos, Saint Mary, the mother of our Savior, that he may forgive us our sins. Okay? And then the deacon comes and takes the cross, and he says, in the wisdom of God let us attend, Lord have mercy, truly. Okay? And then the congregation says the creed. Okay? And so the deacon is telling the people, listen up, guys. We have to say this together, right? In the wisdom of God, let us attend. Be attentive. Lord have mercy, truly we believe. So truly is like the start of the creed. Truly we believe in one God, God the Father. Okay? All right. Okay, let's come inside. The rest of the time, I think we're going to be inside. Yeah. Yeah, no, you can use both at the same time. It smells edible. Okay, guys, come. not yet. Okay, so you remember we put the altar covering after the Thanksgiving prayer, right? So now that we finished the gospel, we're now about to start the liturgy. So then what happens is the priest, he puts on a veil, he puts one of the lefayefs on top here as like the seal for the tomb, okay? And so we're going to now lift it after the prayer of reconciliation, okay? So the priest, he's holding the veil in front of him, and he says, "In Christ Jesus our Lord," and he releases the veil. You see him releasing one side of it, and he takes the other and he puts it down here. At that moment, he then raises this. Who is going to take the covering from the priest? Who do you think? The elder deacon or priest? The highest rank or the eldest deacon, okay? So then the priest is going to go like this, and he's going to hand both sides, okay? And then we get to this, we get to the folding part. Okay, I've noticed that y'all are y'all need to work on folding towels at home, okay? Because I can always tell who helps mom and dad at home to fold, okay? During this time. All right, so okay. So you notice it. Hold on. So you remember it was folded in half. You saw that, and notice, and not just any half. It has to be like the center, the longest side. Okay. So fold it. Okay. Hold on. It's not exactly like shake it. Make sure it's go far. Okay. Now shake it. No, shake it. Make sure it's aligned. Okay. Okay. Now fold one more time. Are y'all watching this? Come over here and watch, because if I find out that y'all don't know how to fold, I'm gonna bring y'all a towel to practice. Okay, hold on. Easy. Lord have mercy. Okay, make sure it's like neat. Okay, make sure it's neat. Okay. Now you come together, and out of humility, right? The youngest should be the one to bow, or like to lower. Okay. Okay, very good. Now the eldest deacon is going to take it and bring it here, and then he's going to like flip the bottom side like this, right? And then fold it this way so that the creases are facing this direction. Okay? Look how neat that is. Look at that. Okay, so then what goes on top here? The cross and the gospel. Okay, somebody bring them. The crossbow, okay. So then when you put it, you're going to kiss them. Hold on, put it here on the side, and then you'll pick up the cross. You'll kiss the cross, and you'll put it here on the right, and then you'll pick up the gospel, you'll kiss it, and you'll put it there on the left, and very good. Now you notice, by the way, that there are two sides to the gospel. One is the resurrection, and one is the crucifixion. If we are in the time of the Holy 50 days, or if it's like a Sunday, have the resurrection up. If it's maybe any other time, then have the crucifixion up. Okay? Yes. No, when you're older, you'll be able to reach. You must be at least 5.5 feet to serve inside. Okay. All right. Shh. Listen up. Okay. Shh. Listen up. Okay. So now, because at St. Paul's we have two priests. So assuming that we're praying together that day. So again, the other priest is going to come, and the other priest is going to come and help remove the altar covering. Okay? When the other priest takes it, take it from his hands. Don't, like if you see a Buona Cruz, like folding, take it from him. And here's why. It's not about like, oh, like why can't the priest fold, you know? It's not about that, but because the priest who is removing the altar covering is the celebrant. Because in the prayer of reconciliation, when the liturgy starts, it's the non-celebrant priest praying. Hold on. It's the non-celebrant priest praying, which means the one removing the altar covering is the celebrant priest. The celebrant priest has just washed his hands. And so because he washed his hands, he really shouldn't be touching anything other than covering his hands with those two veils over there. So that's why it's important to take so, you know, don't stand and just watch like Abuna folding. Take it from him. Take it from him, because his hands need to be kept clean at all times using the veils. Yes. Oh, you mean at the very end of the liturgy? Oh, we like to see like how strong our arm is. See how strong. Yes. No, it doesn't matter the rank. Take it from them. Okay. And actually, we kind of missed that part where there's 2 times in which the priest is washing his hands. Once, right before the choosing of the holy bread or the lamb, right before the offertory, and the second time is when? Huh? After what? No. When other time do you think he might wash his hands? After the sermon. Very good. After the sermon, before the prayer of reconciliation, before the priest comes back to finish, to begin praying the liturgy. Okay? All right. So there should be a charcoal that should be added to the censer. By this time, the charcoal is probably like ashes. Okay? And so you should add another charcoal when you hear the priest saying Agios 3 times. You know where he says Agios, 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 holy, holy, holy. At that point, you should add a charcoal. Why? Because right after that, the priest is going to say was incarnate, and at that time, the deacon is going to bring the shoria. And then the priest is saying, was incarnate, and he puts a spoon. Why? Because when the priest begins praying the institution narrative, or when he says, he instituted for us, this part, you'll see the deacon then lifting up the shoria and bring the, well, you don't have to now, but he would have like the thing for his hand, right? And lift up the, very good. And then I'm gonna wash my hands with using the incense smoke. And so the deacon would come around the corner, That way the priest is not going here, right? We don't want, the priest should not leave the holy bread. So he should be standing here. So the deacon should come here. You don't have to be scared. The earth is not going to split open and suck you in because you're standing here. Sometimes I sense that from sometimes. So it's okay. Come here. The priest will wash his hands. Why? Because the priest is about to then begin touching. He's going to pick up the holy bread again to pray the prayers for changing it into the body. But the priest is washing his hands because he's washing his hands so that Christ is covering the hands of the priest. So that it's not the hands of the priest completing the liturgy, but it is the hands of Christ completing the liturgy. Okay? Yes. Because it's Christ who's performing the liturgy, right? So he takes it, he washes his hands 3 times, and then he puts it on the bread and wine 3 times, like he was washing his hands 3 times. Like 1, take again, 2, and then 3. Okay? Yes, like I will have flipped it will be flipped like this, and you would put the, okay? So, okay, so then the charcoal, okay, then present it as he instituted for us. Okay, now the rites for communion. I think that's all we're going to have time for, okay? The rites for communion. Yeah, that's all that's left. I know, but there's probably a few more things during the during the Liturgy of the Faithful. Maybe we can do it another time, because the communion is very important. Okay, number 1, be ready to take communion. Okay, please don't stand in other areas. Like especially if you're serving inside, don't just be standing somewhere and then like Abuna has to be like, come take communion, right? Be ready, because we're supposed to be watchful. We're supposed to be watchful that we're in the midst of Christ, and we're excited and we're eager to partake. Okay, so have a veil in your hand. Don't use the bottom of your tunya to like cover your mouth. Don't like come and grab one of the altar like things to cover your mouth. Be like, sorry, I forgot one, so I'm taking yours. So bring one to cover your mouth. When you approach the priest and the priest gives you the communion, then the priest is going to say, the body of Emmanuel, our God. Are you hearing? The body of Emmanuel, our God, and you're going to say what? What would you say? Amen. Right? Amen. Amen. So the body of Emmanuel, our God, this is true. Amen. Okay? Whenever you take the blood, then you would say, then the priest is going to say, the precious blood of the precious blood of Emmanuel, our God, given for the remission of sins and eternal life to those who shall partake of it, to partake of him. And then you would say, Amen. Amen. Okay? Okay. If the blood is being distributed at the same time as the body, then you do not partake of the blood until the end. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? If you're serving inside and there are 2 priests, then you take the body, but you do not take the blood yet. Not until the end. After we've made sure that we've consumed all of the mysteries. Okay? Once it's fully consumed, then you can partake of the blood. For the deacons outside, you would partake of the body and the blood, but do not drink water yet. Did you hear me? Do not drink water yet, because when you drink water, you've broken the fast. And so if you drink water, then like let's say there's a lot of the mysteries left, and the priest needs help to finish consuming the mysteries. He cannot give it to you because you now drank the water. Okay? So do not drink water until the end. If it's yes. No, usually like outside. Like some churches they have enough space to let all the deacons just come and take communion inside the sanctuary, but I think it's been like pretty consistent here that that they take it outside, but they're like the first to take for the communion. Right. They'll gauge it outside, so it's like that's why like at the end sometimes it's like, oh, we have so much left. I would like here's my advice. Like if you see that there's a lot of people, then drink water. Like we'll have enough to consume it. If you find that like on a normal Sunday for some reason like it's completely empty, then maybe say, okay, maybe I won't take water yet. Okay. Oh, the red is for like any regular Sunday, like throughout the year. The white is when we're in the time of the resurrection and the ascension, and then the black is during Holy Week. Okay? Okay, so if the blood is being distributed after the body has been fully consumed, then you take 1 spoon of the chalice until after the congregation has partaken. Did you hear me? No. Okay. So whenever, again, let's say there's been distributed once, or like the chalice is being distributed alone, then you take 1, the serving deacon takes 1 spoon, and then if there's a lot left at the end, then the priest will need help to finish consuming it by giving 3 spoons to the serving deacons. Okay? Yes. Okay, the deacon holding the cross and candle is to guard the holy body. So where's the give me the okay, so let's say that the deacon is holding the lefefa. So the cross you hold with your right hand if you are the one who's saying the confession, and you can don't light it, just kidding. Okay. Alright, so it's being held like this. So if you're the one holding it, you would come and you would take communion, right? And then you take communion, and then you would come and you would stand behind the priest like this. Okay? And it's like like how we say the cherubim the cherubim with 2 they cover their face, with 2 they cover their feet, and with 2 they fly, right? So it's like covering the face because you're unworthy to see the holiness of the presence of Christ in the Eucharist. Okay? Yes. I mean, you could walk forward like this and this. Okay? Now the priest is ready to take the paten, and he goes, "The holies for the holy. Blessed be the Lord Jesus Christ, the Son of God, sanctification by the Holy Spirit." Amen. When that happens, when you see that happening, watch out. Give me some room. When you see that happening, right? Then the deacon should immediately come to this side. Okay? Because then the priest is going to come this way. So then, when you see that the priest is now coming with the paten, then you come and you go backwards. Do not hit the candlestand. Okay? And you come, look behind you if you need to, just in case. Don't fall. You come, and then you step down, and you stand here because the table is going to be here, and usually I think both of Warner and I, we are standing on this side. So you should stand on the opposite side. Okay, standing like this. And you should like make sure to make sure that there's no pearls. Pearls are basically the crumbs, but we call them pearls, right? Make sure that no pearls fall from any of the people partaking of the mysteries, okay? Because sometimes the priest knows that the piece accidentally fell, and he'll find, but sometimes the priest doesn't see it. So it's good to be like that guard to make sure that, yeah, they should not pick it up. Do not touch it. Just use the cross to point to the pearl and have the priest pick it up. Okay? Yes. If it does fall, then the deacon points to it, the priest picks it up. That's okay. Anyone can point. Anyone can point to it. That's okay. Because the pearl is like something very precious, right? Very valuable. Versus when we reference like a crumb is like the insignificant amount of like the insignificant piece of like a piece of bread, right? But this is the body of Christ, so we call it a pearl because it's precious. No. It's not any less holy because of yeah. And if the priest eats throw up. If a baby throws up, he sometimes eats it too. Because if the baby consumes, then one time I scarred this baby. I like licked his whole face because he was spitting out. First day of giving communion. No, first day. No, actually. Okay, so when if there's not if the chalice is still here on the throne, and there's one priest and the priest is giving the body outside, then what you would do is you would stand in front of the chalice holding a candle. There should be another deacon doing that while the other deacon holding the veil and the candle and the cross outside with the body. You should be standing guarding the chalice. Okay? Leave the questions to the end because I want to make sure we get through it. Okay? Okay, so now the paten is here. Okay, the priest brings it back. Can I get some help? Well, I want to make sure that it's done. So, because there's going to be like veils, the priest will do this. Okay, so maybe show them how to fold. And it shouldn't be hard because there's creases already. Yeah. Come pay attention, guys. Okay, good. All right, no, I think y'all got it. Okay, so then the other one. Look, pay attention. Look. That's it. Okay. Okay. Now, actually, can you bring a good water? Can you get like a? Huh? If God forbid the priest drops the chalice, then there's a prayer that is prayed to change the blood back into regular wine, and then there's a prayer to take more wine and to pray a shorter prayer to change that to the blood. He's like, I want to make sure I'm not there on the day that the priest accidentally drops it because it's going to be longer. No, it's not that long. Okay, so is there any more? There's like, yeah, just put the whole bottle just in case. Yes. Okay, so everyone come on this side if you can, or even come around if it's easier for you to see. Okay, so the priest will have the paten when the pearls and everything is finally consumed. Okay, you will be holding, like if you are nearby, right, and you're holding the candle and the cross. If you were the one standing behind Abuna, you would remove the veil. You would remove the veil, and you would remove the veil, and you would just be holding the cross and then the candle. Okay, the cross in your right hand and the candle. The priest is going to clean the paten. Okay, and he's going to like do this and make sure everything is consumed. The priest is going to show it to the deacon to make sure that it is clean. Okay, now if you see pearls, you use the cross to point to where the pearls are. Yeah, there's, it's yes. Sometimes it's, huh? No. You're standing. It's at the end of communion time. The priest is finishing consuming, and you would have the cross, and you would point if you see any pearls. Okay.
Is it fine if you like when you dump the water in it? Is it fine if you drink the body?
Yes. Yes. And that's why we have water. That's why, like, if you see maybe like if it's like a little bit of dust or something, like we're gonna also put water, but it's really for like the obvious pearls. Okay. We try to make it as clean as possible. Okay, but we also don't need to spend like 45 minutes trying to make sure that, because we will be putting water so that the priest actually will like kind of rub it to make sure everything comes off. Okay. So then the priest is going to go like this. So you're going to look at it, and you're going to kind of look at for like 3 seconds. Okay, please don't spend like like trying to, yeah. Okay,
Oh, I see one.
you just look at it. Okay, it's couple seconds. See the at the angle. Okay, these are it's probably dust, but so. But you would look at it and you would say, okay. Then you would say, "Hail to the cross." Say, "Hail to the cross." Also, you might hear a lot of times, "Shere bestavros." Say, "Shere bestavros." Shere is hail, right? Shere is hail. Pistavros is the cross. Okay, to the cross. Pistavros is the cross. Okay, so then you'll see the priest going like this, doing the sign of the cross, saying it's complete. Okay, so then he'll put it, and then he'll have the chalice in order to clean the chalice. So now I want to show you. I wish we had the cruet. We don't have the cruet. The cruet is the container that. It's probably gold plated. Yeah, don't touch the vessels.
What was Saint Joseph? Was Saint Joseph like jealous? He wasn't like, because Jesus was like, and Saint.
It's a good question, and I'll answer it for you after. So we don't have the cruet? Okay. So I want to show you. I want you to see the amount of water to put. Okay. Don't be stingy. Okay. Don't be stingy when you pour water. The priest is gonna. Okay. See it's, and then the priest will go like this to like clean it.
Drink it.
Okay. That's okay. Okay. So then the priest will do this. Okay. He'll drink. And then another part, he'll do this. While the priest is doing that, you're going to pour a little bit of water to clean this, and that's it. Okay? And then the priest puts it here. Okay? Then you see what I'm going to do now? Then the priest is going to make sure that all the pearls are done. Okay? And then you'll drink water. Okay? And be ready to drink water. Okay? Don't let the priest have to call you to drink water. I didn't know this was going to be part of the show and tell, but... Okay. It's okay. You don't have to feel bad if you didn't get it. Okay. Shh. Okay. So... Okay, so then at the end, there are going to be other things. So just look at how Uncle Zach is pouring, how much water he's pouring. He's not being greedy and he's not being cheap with it. Okay, and then the priest will give you a hand to say, please stop. Okay. Okay. So then the priest will put it. We'll do the prayer. We'll say the prayer that you guys are familiar with, and then the priest you're going to pour some water in the hand of the priest, and that's it. And then he throws it. Okay. Okay. So then, listen up. So then after that, the priest, you must have a full cruet to give to the priest. Be ready to give a full cruet of wine to the priest. Of water. Not wine. of water. Okay? So then the priest will go and bless the people with the water and then come back. When you see, like, let's say you see a Buonochronos coming up, when a Buonochronos is like here, and a Buonochronos is tall, so he's got his leg, I mean, he's like fast, right? So be ready to give him a towel, right? Be ready to hand him a towel and be ready to take the cruet of water from him, right? Okay, so priest comes up, the towel, I'm going to give you the cruet of water, or the empty cruet, okay? And then you take the don't forget the towel. Okay? So you take the towel back, and then after that you can move everything. Now, please, do not remove your tunic until after the announcements. Okay? If you're outside, whether you're outside or inside, please wait until after the announcements to stand up and come and take your tunics off, because sorry, I didn't mean it. So when the like say Mary or someone else is giving the announcements, it's a distraction when the deacons are coming up and no, I said like Mary. I said someone like Mary, like if someone like. So if someone like Mary, Aunt Mary, is giving the announcements, then it's good to wait until after the announcements to then start standing up and coming in and taking off your tunics. Understood?
Understood.
Okay. Now, does anyone? I think we're good on time. It's 12 o'clock. I will try to update. This document and send it out so that you have a final copy. Does anybody have any questions?
You were gonna be here all day.
I know. So let's go outside. Let me wrap this up, and then we can wrap up. Yes. Okay, so we're just to wrap up. Does anyone have any questions about today? Does anyone have any questions about today? Okay. Design. It's not like actually you'll find many times that the center curtain has the saint of the church. Why? Because like the altar that we have is the altar under St. Paul. So usually it would be like St. Paul, which I think like eventually we will have. It's different designs. There's not a set way for the ostrich egg represents resurrection. And also watchfulness because of the ostrich. What? Yeah, it's not like it's not live. Like it's hollow. Yeah. We're not in the business of raising. Yeah. No, after. Anything else? Any other questions about today's material, about what we learned today?
Yes, because okay, whenever Christ was in the tomb, who was outside? The angels. Weren't they guarding? Right, but they were guarding, right? So we should also be guarding the. I don't know if it specifies. Huh? Oh. So it wasn't not specific, but there's an angel guarding. In Revelation, it speaks about like that there was this whatever war or battle in heaven when the fallen angels fell from heaven, and it spoke about almost like a battle with swords. What this actually means, because there's no like material things, right? It's like it's not an actual sword, but it's like the describing the power of the archangel. Mean? It's not mean. It's how he wanted. It's how he made himself available to us. No, it was bread. He gave them bread because when you eat the mysteries, thank you. When you partake of the mysteries, you're not tasting like flesh, right? You're not eating flesh. It's not like eating like a steak, right? I mean, you're eating from a material standpoint. You're eating it's bread material, but by grace it is the body of Christ. Same thing with the chalice. In the chalice, it's like the substance, the material is wine, but by grace it is the blood of Christ. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Let's stand up and pray. In the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Thank you, Lord, for blessing our gathering together. Allow us, Lord, to be fruitful in our service. In order to serve your people, in order to bring them closer to you, Lord, in our communal worship. Hear us when we say thank you through the intercession of St. Mary and St. Paul and Pope Carlos and Bonifacius and all the saints. Hear us when we say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil one. In Christ Jesus our Lord, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Now, love of God the Father, grace of his only begotten Son, our Lord God and Savior Jesus Christ, communion gift of the Holy Spirit be with you all. Go in peace, and the peace of the Lord be with you all. Amen. What do you say? Huh? Thank you. No, if I say, go in peace and the peace of the Lord be with you all, amen, then you should respond back to the priest and say, and with your spirit. Okay?